I'm joined here by Dr. Rolando Toyos from Lumenis here, who's going to be talking about a syndrome that affects around about 30% of the population. We're talking about dry eye syndrome here. Rolando, thank you very much for joining us. Just tell me a bit more about dry eye.
Yeah, dry eye is a huge problem that here recently people are focusing on because if you don't have a good tear film and your eyes are dry, your vision's going to be terrible. So you can have the greatest glasses in the world or you can do the greatest surgery in the world. If you don't have a good tear film, that can be a problem. And this is going to be anywhere from 13 to 30% of the world population has dry eye. And why we're seeing more of it is because of change of environment, diet. Patients are now using cell phones more often, so their screen time is up, so they're staring at screens, not blinking as much. So we're getting more and more patients that are coming into our clinic that are complaining about this. And I'm a LASIK surgeon and a cataract surgeon, and one of the things that I realized is that even if I did perfect surgery, if they had a poor tear film or dry eye, they weren't going to have good vision. But it goes beyond that because this is a chronic pain problem. A lot of these patients are coming in and they're having scratchiness when they blink, or they have this constant sensation that there's something in their eye. So traditionally, how people have tried to correct this problem is through drops. So that ameliorates the symptoms, but it doesn't do anything for the problem. So
it's because the glands are not active.
So essentially what I tell patients is your tear is made up of three parts: a water layer, a protein layer, and a fatty layer. The fatty layer is there so that the tear won't evaporate. If you have a poor fatty layer, your tear evaporates very quickly, then you have inflammation, irritation, and the sensation that something's in your eye. That's about 80% of dry eye is this poor tear film of a fatty layer. The glands that make the fatty layer are right on the lid margin. They're called the meibomian glands, and they usually make like an olive oil-like secretion. But what you find in patients with dry eye, instead of this olive oil-like secretion, they're making more of a toothpaste-like secretion. So these glands get blocked, and then they don't have a normal fatty layer. So you could see a drop, it really is going to take care of this problem. Now, in the past, other things that have been tried are like warm compresses to try to open up these glands and get this toothpaste out. But the real problem is, why are your glands making toothpaste? And it's that the cells aren't working in the meibomian gland, aren't working correctly. So you have to do something to get these cells to improve and work better. So I was using intense pulse light, which is this bright light and this machine that you're seeing here, to treat patients with rosacea. So intense pulse light is a historic treatment for rosacea to try to close up those abnormal blood vessels on the skin layer and get that redness out so that their face appears better and that they don't have inflammation of the skin. It was also a treatment for acne because these wavelengths of light applied to the skin will kill bacteria and clear up skin. So when I was using intense pulse light on some of these patients that had dry eye, they would come in and say, you know, not only is my face and skin better, but my actual dry eye is better. So that started in 2001, and we did 6 years of research with intense pulse light to see if we had a treatment for dry eye. And then in 2007, we had worked out everything, figured out how to use these intensities of light to get these glands working better, and then we had a treatment. So for the last 10 years, I've been training doctors throughout the world on intense pulse light for dry eye, and now we have hundreds in the US and hundreds in China and all over the world.
And you happen to have an IPL machine here. Just talk us through quickly how this works then.
So this is applying wavelengths, certain wavelengths of light. So the intense pulse light will give you an energy level of light that's a broad range. We put a special filter just so that we get specific wavelengths of light. And then those specific wavelengths of light are targeted to the meibomian gland, so the meibomian gland works better. So this wavelength of light is not safe for the eye, so you can't directly shoot it on the eye, but I'll just shoot it indirectly so you can kind of see.
Yeah, that was quite bright, even when you had your hand covering that.
That's why they call it intense pulse light. So what we do is we cover the patient's lids so that the intensity of light doesn't get to their eye, and then we treat from ear to ear along this lid margin, and after 4 treatment protocol over a course of 2 months, the patient's glands start working better.
And how long is that effective for? You mentioned a 4 treatment program then. How often do you need top-ups to this?
It seems like the genetics of these patients with dry eye, their cells of their meibomian gland constantly don't want to work the way they properly work. So after a 4-treatment protocol, they come in once a year for a maintenance treatment. And this, gets patients off of drops, gets them off of medications, clears up their skin. So now that I've been doing this for 17 years, I have patients that come in, their skin looks great, their glands are working great, their problem with dry eye is taken care of. And then if they get away from, if they think, oh, I'm cured and I never have to do this again, then they usually come back and go, oh, my eyes are dry again, I need to get a treatment with IPL. So this is growing, dry eye, the focus on dry eye is increasing, and now people are saying, well, let's get away from drops and lose this new technology that we have to try to treat these patients and treat the problem instead of just treating the symptoms.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean that's a good approach in many areas of ophthalmology and medicine in general.
We have to use these new technologies that we have, and they're underutilized. And one of the things I tell people is light is being utilized in every other part of the medical world, and it should be used in ophthalmology as well.
Terrific. Well, Dr. Rolando Toyos, thank you very much indeed for talking us through the whole dry eye problem and how you're using intense pulse light to try and do that. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of show.
Excellent. Thanks.
Cheers.